Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Procrastinator's Pit Stop. We have another amazing guest for you here, Stephen Dossou. Stephen, an inspirational TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, investor, and coach, has impacted thousands of lives globally by helping others break boundaries and unleash their full potential. Rising from humble beginnings in Togo, West Africa, he now leads with vision and charisma on a global stage. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. I'm super duper excited to be here today.
We're excited to have you with us today. But before we go into the show that we have scheduled out, we do like to have an icebreaker on this show, and today's question for you today is: which cartoon character do you resonate with the most, and why?
That is Son Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, growing up, we didn't have TV, and Dragon Ball Z was one of the cartoon series that you go to the neighbor and watch once a week. That was on a Saturday. And yeah, those were beautiful days. And I always remember how he turned Super Saiyan, and funny story, Chris, Chris. One Saturday afternoon, I announced to the whole group of friends, 50, 100 all little kids, and I announced that on Saturday 6 p.m. I'm turning Super Saiyan, and everybody showed up to see it. And I said, yeah, Son Goku is my man, for real.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So when you had this event, what happened with that? How did that turn out?
Obviously, you see my hair, right? Obviously, I couldn't turn Super Saiyan, right? But people were a bit disappointed, and my friends were very disappointed. One thing that really surprised me till today, when I kind of reminisce and think about that, I just asked myself, how did I manage to make over 50 kids plus believe that I was really gonna do Super Saiyan, and they really came to witness. How did I make them believe? So today it makes no sense to me, right? So obviously I couldn't get Super Saiyan. I tried all the tricks that got on my hair, all kind of things, to someone all distressing me. It didn't happen. So everybody went from the top.
That's definitely an interesting story, but I mean, it's also a testament. Would you say that that was maybe one of the moments that got you into the mindset, or maybe the thinking that you could help others and motivate others?
Not at all. I wouldn't say so because um, there is a childish way of thinking, of dreaming, of behaving, and then there is also a moment in your life where I have to say that when you meet yourself, is when you tap into that you know that consciousness where you tap into that cognitive, let me put, yeah, that cognitive ability that, oh, wait, I have a superpower. So I think that's the key. What we could see though is when we look at, because it's like this is successfully clue, but same as the Jeep. When you have a talent, the talent also needs clue. That's why when people come to me and they ask me, hey Steve, I want to know what my talent is, and I ask them what is the purpose. They tell me, well, I want to know my purpose. I'm going to ask you what's your talent. So when we go back as a kid and we see those little things that you do, that they were little actions you pose, you push, that came from your instinct, your natural being, right? So if I look back now, there's certain sets of actions. Some of them I talk about them in my book. I look at them and I realize that, you know what, I'm still on the right path because instinctively I did all these things when I was a kid, and one of them was being able to convince all these kids I was with that person. So, so those were clues. But when we come to moment of realization, I think that's a bit different.
No, you have a good point there, and actually, it reminds me a little bit of my own story with that. Uh, I wasn't as young as you, but I had to do 12 art projects in the span of 2 years, and so I procrastinated, and I did them all in about 8 hours on a Sunday night, the Monday before they were due, right? But my superpower in that moment was I managed to convince a proctor from a different school that I actually knew what I was talking about, and managed to convince them that I'd spent 2 years researching those projects when I actually did. So I mean, I don't know how, but I managed to do it, and it's interesting because that example really goes to show you when we influence others, it's more about building on their own inner potentials and their own inner workings and how they see the world, right? See, I never would have been able to do that if that particular person didn't have a specific set goal in their mind of what they wanted me to actually do. I was just going along with it. So would it not be maybe, you managed to convince all these children, all your friends, that you're going to go Super Saiyan simply because they wanted to believe it?
Right. That is true. That is definitely, yeah, you have a very, very good point there. I think there's an element of the people wanting to believe it, and then there's an element of you also being persuasive enough. It's like how a friend of mine is a pastor that says that the action of giving is not complete without the receiving. You know what I'm saying? So I can tell that I gave you something, Chris, but if you don't receive it, right? If you put it back, then it can never ever go down in history that Stephen gave a gift to Chris, right? That can only go down in history when Chris has effectively received that thing. So I'm guessing that if we have to apply the same analogy, I think you have a certain point there, but I think it's a combination of both. That your ability to pursue them and then them having the open mind. I know one of the quotes written by Sir Renan, the quote says that minds are like parachutes. They only work when they are open. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So when the mind is open, only then the communicator has the opportunity to drop some things in. Otherwise nothing goes in.
No, I like that. I like that for sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? You told us a little bit about that with your story there, but why don't you go a little bit more into your journey and sort of how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah. So I mean, it's a story that I've written in my book. You can somehow to me free of yourself that in the self-esteem. Your listeners can check it out. All viewers to check that on Amazon. It's worth the book 256 pages. But to make it short, originally I'm from Togo, Togo, not Tokyo, all right, not Tokyo, Togo, Togo, not Tonga, not Tokyo, but Togo. Very important. The reason why I have people on there, Chris, is because I get to so many places, and I don't blame people, right? Because the country is a very small country. Pretty much, I know. I usually when I have to talk about Togo, I have to first talk about Ghana, then talk about Togo, right? It's like supporting the Lakers, but before talking about the Lakers, you have to mention, the Bulls first. It's very sad. It's very sad, right? So anyway, I'm from Togo, my home country. Togo is the West Africa. It's between Ghana and Benin. North to the south, Togo is 600 kilometers, and east to the west is 180 kilometers. Now, you guys in the United States use miles. I don't know how many kilometers miles. I have no idea, but they can research it. So I grew up in a two-bedroom, right? To be modest, people call it out, but the truth is a two-bedroom set, with 9 siblings. I know what it is to sleep on the floor and fight for space with cockroaches, and mice, okay? Like, you get to the point, Chris, where you even start speaking mice language, come on, push a little bit. So I grew up, in those very humble conditions. I used to walk to school, 13 kilometers a day. You walk it and you walk back. You do that 4 times a day. You used to be fit like a bull. Growing up in those circumstances somehow never really exceed my ability to dream. You know what I'm saying? And probably, it have to circle back to the icebreaker. Probably it was because having been exposed to the Dragon Ball Z of this world, that perhaps I don't know, but perhaps that gave a young man the ability to hold on to the capacity to dream beyond his circumstances. You get what I'm saying? Because most of the time we are always the product of our environment to a great extent. So being able to dream, see something that's a little bit outside of what your circumstances are, that let me tell you, Chris, that I call it God gift. So I used to hear these little voice that will tell me that, Steve, yes, this is where you are, but there's the possibility that you could be something better. So I finished my high school at 16, did my first degree in economics, around about 17 and a half or so. And I was like, you know what? I was frustrated. I mean, young men very frustrated. And shout out to my generation as well because we were constantly frustrated. Frustrated by the fact that when you look in the horizon, Chris, there's no hope. You know what I'm saying? But when you look in the horizon, it's guaranteed that if you stay in this system, in a system where in the university, Chris, I can't even call that thing university. There was 4,000, the ratio was 4,000 students to one professor. You know what I'm saying? And I talk about this, in a very jokingly manner in my book, but it's true. Back in the days, every professor that had their own projector was looked among their colleagues to staff. You know what I'm saying? Like, was look among his colleagues as a star. It almost reached the point where they will even ask this guy an autograph because the guy rocked up at the university with his own projector. Can you believe it? It's wild. So I looked at all of them and was like, you know what? No, basic salary is $50, not per day, not per week, per month. So I was like, nah, nah. There had to be something more for me. And at the time, I tried, to apply for the visa for Europe, denied. I tried to apply for the US, denied. I was like, okay, so where could I go? Which environment could I throw myself in that could offer me more opportunity? And I looked and I was like, you know what? South Africa is by far, at least by then, one of the closest country in Africa, more opportunities. Now, Chris, the challenge was for me now to go from Togo to South Africa. Now, and I didn't have much money. Outside of the school, I would sell and buy computer spare parts and all of that. So I spoke to my parents. They went to borrow what they could borrow. I took out my savings, and he thought of I had about $200 in my pocket, pretty much. My backpack, one jeans, two shirts, and I was like, you know what? Off I go. Right. So the journey took me about 18 months to go from one side of the continent to the next, and during those 18 months, Chris, my family thought I was dead. They had written me up because I didn't have any money. Okay, there's nothing for me to say. Look, I want to buy extra credit and call anybody. I was focused on reaching my destination. I mean, it wasn't just journey that days income 1, 2, 3 days from Street, no food, no drink, no place to stay. And eventually, when I arrived in South Africa, I thought, I would just drive by magic things, not at all. And at some point in South Africa, I was thinking of that being just about. I had done, Chris, you can call any job in your life. I had done that. My first official job, I remember, at that point I was sleeping in the shack. Rent was $20. Still couldn't afford that. And I would go to the street corner every single day. And one afternoon, I was at the street corner. I remember you very well. Like, Chris, you probably know this because I think you're from a generation where there was no cell phone. So you might have known the Nokia with the yellow screen, the gum keyboard you play game on it. Now not mine, Chris. Mine, first of all, didn't have a battery cover. I didn't have a keyboard. So I only used the rubber band. You know the rubber band they used to hold money? That's what I used to hold my battery. And I'll have an extra box of matches in my pocket. Every time I ring, I'll take out one match to press the keyboard, and I'll hide so ladies don't see me. The guy ain't see me. I was in the street corner stay, that afternoon. This gentleman came to me and said, hey, Steve, what's up? I see you here every day. You're very excited, enthusiastic, but I know the things are tough. Tell me your story. And I said to my friends, like, wow, man, you know what? Come through tomorrow to Mass Mart. The Mass Mart is the division of Walmart in South Africa. Okay. So I come through to Mass Mart, I have something for you. I was like, really? Okay, cool. Now, to go to Mass Mart, I didn't have anything to wear. So I went to see this friend of mine, he's a pastor. He gave me a brand new trouser and a brand new shirt. And I wore them as if they were mine. Chris, on my way to the interview, I met this blonde woman. And she was struggling with boxes. Okay, this is why in life you never know who what, and you never know who you're gonna box into. So always be good to everybody. So she was struggling with boxes. I was like, man, can I help you? She's like, yeah, so I'm going there in that building. Let's go. So I took her there. I said, like, oh, thank you so much. Where actually you going? I said, no, I'm going to this place. Like, oh, you are in the place. Who are you looking for? I'm looking for this guy. Like, oh, this guy? I know this guy. And she called the guy, like, you have this gentleman coming for you. Like, no. And then the guy told her that this gentleman is coming for interview. And Chris, guess what? She's the interviewer, right? So I just helped the interviewer randomly all the way to the interview place. And then bam, I got the job. But what was the job, Chris? The job was to sell vacuum things. Now, Chris, truth be told, I swear on God, I know this is somebody. At that time I was about 19, close to 19 years old. I had never seen or touched a vacuum cleaner in my life. You know what I'm saying? But I had to sell those things to survive. So they taught me how to use those. I got given a job, Chris. and I went home, studied the sales script, and came back the following day. I worked for 3 years, nonstop, 7 days a week, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours, sometimes, sometimes in the store, sometimes door by door. Doing, hi, ma'am, how are you? Come closer, let me tell you why. Buying these vacuum cleaners is going to make your husband love you more. Sir, hold me right there. Don't make it without you take this machine home, because this is going to be the secret of your happiness. You know what I'm saying? I saw those machines like nobody's business. And very soon, the promotion came. It was like, yo, Steve, listen, we really love what you're doing. Although you're in a very small town, you're competing in some of the biggest stores in the country. Come on. Become an area manager. We'll give you a team of 60 people. You had your own car, your this and your that. Please continue doing what you're doing. 6 months later, bam, I became a regional manager. 6 months later, bam, I became a national manager. And before I know, within the space of 4 years, I found myself at the top of the organization. Now, Chris, if you know this, right, that as a leader, your role is not to manage the task. So your role is to inspire the people doing the task, motivate them, lead them. Then the task gets done, right? So as the youngest manager in the company, I mean, I'm talking my colleagues being twice, 3, 4 times my age. As the youngest manager in the company, and having been thrown in a role where it's not like I need a degree in communication, a degree in business or anything. So having been thrown in that role, I had no other choice but to get to learn those skills by myself and lead my people. And that's what I did. And I remember, I had a culture in my team where every Monday at 6 a.m. The office is open like 8:39, but I'll ask my team to be there at 6 a.m. And from 6 to 8 o'clock, we'll be running master class. And I run the master classes myself, on communication and leadership. How do they work with their team, their people? So from there already, I started then basically teaching myself all these concepts of mindset, these concepts of communication, leadership, and stuff. So when I left there and I went to start a company that fell, crashed down basically a year later. The company we were making, exporting, importing, hair cosmetics for Black and Indian people. I was basically back to zero. Everything I had worked for was lost in the land. So I had to ask myself the question at that point. Look, where am I from? What am I doing and where am I going? And I was like, you know what? What has brought me thus far, it wasn't the fact that, yes, I mean, being resilient was part of it. Yes, being motivated was part of it. But I think to a great extent, it was my ability to bring the best out of every single person I met on my path. And those persons also giving me the opportunity to be the best. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to build a career out of this coaching and speaking thing. And that's when I left South Africa and I moved to Asia. Started in Singapore and started building, was born, working and build different businesses, different companies. And right now, I'm working with young entrepreneurs, people that have business ideas, either they're startups and they want to build it and secure investment for it later in the future. So I'm also working with an investment firm, startup investment expert, and also still taking and coaching people to have the right mindset, the right sales skills, the right communication, the right leadership skills, so they can become a street all-around leader.
Wow, that is, thank you so much for sharing that. That is quite a journey from, literally just walking. You had a lot of faith in that. That is, you were very sure of yourself, and that was, wow, what an inspiring story from vacuum cleaners to now. It's a very, very good story. Thank you for sharing. Now, every story of success has its shares of, challenges. You mentioned quite a few already. What do you think was the biggest challenge you had to overcome during that time to get to where you are?
There's a quote, Chris, that says that the greatest battles are not the ones outside, but they are the ones within. And it is one of the things that also inspired me to write the book, This From How to Live Free of Fear, Self-Esteem. If you ask me, Chris, that what is the biggest battle that I had to overcome till now? This is a battle that I believe every single body, that includes Trump, Obama, Biden, that includes, I don't know, the greatest people that have ever been there, Martin Luther King, you name them, right? I think that has been the battle against trick, against fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. You get what I'm saying? Because if the battle is not won within, the victory outside, it will never be that. You get what I'm saying? So it was the battle where when I was called by my boss to say, "Hey, Steve, listen, we want to give you the country to run." Where I got excited on the phone, but deep down, I was scared. It was the battle where I said, "Yes, sir, fantastic. I'm gonna be there on Monday to start." But when I went home in the evening, I started pacing the floor, the room, listening, battling against the voices that were saying, "Hey, Steve, do you think you can do this? I think the boy that just was sleeping in a check of $20. Wait, you from the dusty roads of Togo? Wait, you have 9 siblings that were sharing the floor with. This is not for you. Come on, call your boss back and tell him that I'm giving up." You get what I'm saying? So those were the biggest battle against fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. And those were the battles that person listening to this right now, that perhaps it's struggling to get things done on time. Procrastination. Those are the same battles that this person is battling. Those are the same battles that the lady that we all could agree on the outside that she's beautiful, yet can see herself in the mirror that I am not beautiful. Those are the battles that those are the battles that the person that has tried 56 times and on the 57th time, Chris, this person is about to get their victory, but they give up. This is the battle that the person.
I like that, and you're right. We there are many different sayings that are similar. We are our own worst enemy or our own best friend, or it's not not your aptitude or your uh no, I forgot. I messed it up. But anyway, in the end, it just says how you look at things is it determines how far you actually get. And I guess that rolls into this then. So, what's your secret sauce for getting over procrastination? Yeah, I like that example. Yeah, thank you for that. Those are very good. You touched on a couple of interesting points there too. Do you believe? And that I've spoken to many people on this subject as well, and everybody's got a different opinion. But I'm curious, what do you think? Do we the saying is that we need somebody to believe in and to believe in us more than we believe in us in order to sort of start the momentum to get going? Or is it possible to have that belief for ourselves without having that extra push? I like that. I like that. Very good insights. Thank you for sharing. We are coming up. It's been a great conversation, Stephen, but we are coming up close to the time. Do you think there's anything that maybe I should have asked but didn't ask, or anything that we should have covered that we didn't cover today on this call? Well, I definitely like that. I definitely like that viewpoint. I'm a firm believer of everything in its time and its place as well. Just thank you so much for your insights and your time today, and just being here and sharing. Just before we go, again to all our listeners, we're gonna put a link to the book in the description. Um, so you don't have to go and worry about looking it up. But I think I think it should be a good read. So go and check it out. But before we go, I did want to ask you, Stephen, what's the best way that our listeners could reach out in case they wanted to ask a question or get clarifications or maybe work? Excellent. Well, once again, just thank you so much for your time and all those great insights. And thank you once again to our listeners for tuning in. And as Stephen has said as well throughout the show, if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, just go out and try and be that motivation and inspiration for someone else. And you'd be surprised how far you can get simply by doing that. And we'll see you again next time.